Hello everyone, welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to share with you our topic, reproduction in animals. This is the first slide, so I want to give you a quick overview. We'll be exploring how different animals reproduce, the various methods they use, and what makes this process fascinating. So let's dive in and discover the wonders of animal reproduction together. Let's take a look at the contents of this presentation. We will explore various aspects of reproduction, starting with an introduction to the fundamental concepts. Then, we'll delve into the methods of reproduction, highlighting both sexual and asexual types. Moving forward, we'll examine the development of the embryo and the processes involved in fertilization. We'll also focus on the reproductive systems of males and females, understanding how they function together. Additionally, we'll compare viviparous and oviparous animals to see how different species give birth or lay eggs. Towards the end, we'll discuss concepts like metamorphosis and how it relates to development. Finally, we'll conclude by tying all these ideas together, emphasizing their importance in the biological world. This overview will help us appreciate the diversity and complexity of reproductive strategies across animals. Reproduction is all about creating new organisms from existing ones of the same species. It's a fundamental process that ensures the survival of a species on Earth. When we talk about humans, reproduction is what allows our kind to continue existing across generations. It's interesting to note that reproduction results in offspring that share the basic characteristics of their parents, maintaining the traits that define the species. Also, when animals are born or hatch, we refer to them as young ones. So, reproduction isn't just about making new life. It's about sustaining life and ensuring the continuity of each species on our planet. Now, let's talk about the methods of reproduction. There are two main types we need to understand. The first is asexual reproduction. This is when a new organism is produced from a single parent, and importantly, it doesn't involve sex cells or gametes. For example, in amoebas, they reproduce by a process called binary fission, where the cell simply splits into two identical cells. The second type is sexual reproduction. This involves two parents, and they make use of their sex cells or gametes to produce a new organism. This process results in offspring that have genetic material from both parents, which promotes variation. Think about humans, fish, or frogs. They all reproduce sexually. Both methods are crucial for understanding how different organisms reproduce and adapt to their environments. They also connect to the overall theme of how life continues and evolves in diverse ways. Let's talk about male and female gametes. First, what do we mean by male and female animals? A male animal is one that has male sex cells called sperms, which are produced and present in its body. On the other hand, a female animal has female sex cells known as eggs or ova inside her body. These gametes are essential for sexual reproduction because they combine to form a new organism. Now focusing on the male gamete, the sperm. The sperm is a single cell, but it's quite specialized. It contains a nucleus, which carries the genetic information, and a cell membrane that surrounds it. The structure of the sperm is designed for movement, so it can swim and reach the female gamete. Switching to the female gamete, the egg or ova. The egg is also a single cell, but it's generally larger than the sperm. In humans, for example, the egg is round and about 0.15 millimeters in diameter, roughly the size of a tiny dot. The egg contains nutrients and genetic material, waiting to be fertilized. Both these gametes are fundamental to sexual reproduction because they carry the genetic material from each parent. Understanding these cells helps us appreciate how new life begins and the diversity we see in the animal kingdom. Now, let's talk about what happens right after fertilization. When a male gamete, which we often call a sperm, fuses with a female gamete, also known as an egg, they combine to form a new cell called a zygote. This zygote is essentially the very first cell of a new organism. It's important to remember that the zygote is just a single cell at this stage, but it holds all the genetic information needed to develop into a full organism. This process marks the beginning of life's development. Connecting the process of gamete formation, we discussed earlier, to the complex journey of growth and development that follows. Now let's talk about fertilization. Fertilization is the process where a male gamete, or sperm, fuses with a female gamete, or egg, to form a zygote. Think of the zygote as the very first cell of a new organism, essentially, a fertilized egg that has the potential to develop into a new life. There are two main types of fertilization to be aware of: internal and external. Internal fertilization happens inside the female's body, which is common in many land animals, including humans. External fertilization, on the other hand, occurs outside the body, often in aquatic environments, like in fish or amphibians. Understanding these types helps us see how different species have adapted their reproductive strategies to ensure the survival of their offspring. This process is a fundamental part of sexual reproduction and ties directly into the overall theme of how organisms reproduce and pass on genetic information. Now, let's explore sexual reproduction in animals. This process involves several fascinating steps that ensure new life is created. First, the female produces female gametes, called ova, which are essentially eggs. On the other side, the male produces sperm, the male gametes. When the sperm and egg come together, they join during fertilization to form a fertilized egg, known as a zygote. The sperm's nucleus fuses with the nucleus of the egg, combining genetic material from both parents. This zygote then begins to grow and develop into a new baby animal. Initially, the zygote divides multiple times, creating a hollow ball of cells called an embryo. As development continues, the embryo grows into a fetus, gradually maturing into a baby animal. Throughout this process, growth and development are key. They progress from a single cell to a fully formed, independent creature. This entire cycle highlights the intricate and fascinating way animals reproduce sexually, ensuring diversity and continuation of the species. Let's take a closer look at the male reproductive system. The key organs include the testes, which are the main reproductive organs in males. The testes are responsible for producing male gametes, known as sperms. These sperms are then passed from the testes into the male's body to eventually fuse with the female's reproductive cells during fertilization. Next, we have the scrotal sacs, which hold and protect the testes, helping to regulate their temperature for optimal sperm production. The seminal vesicles are another important part. They produce a fluid that nourishes and helps transport the sperm. The epididymis is a coiled tube where sperm mature and are stored until ejaculation. The sperm then travel through the sperm duct, also called the vas deferens, to reach the penis, which is the external organ involved in delivering sperm during sexual intercourse. Connecting all these parts is crucial because each one plays a specific role in the process of reproduction, which is a central theme of this presentation. Understanding how these organs work together helps us appreciate the complexity and efficiency of the male reproductive system. Let's take a closer look at the female reproductive system. The main organs involved are the ovaries, the oviducts, the uterus, and the vagina. Starting with the ovaries, these are the key reproductive organs in females. They have a crucial role because they produce the female gametes, which we call eggs or ova. Each month, typically one mature egg is released from one of the ovaries into the oviduct. This process is essential for reproduction, as fertilization occurs when a sperm meets the egg. The fertilized egg then travels to the uterus for implantation. The oviducts serve as the passageways where this fertilization usually happens. Moving on, the uterus is where a fertilized egg can develop into a fetus. And finally, the vagina acts as the canal that connects the outside of the body to the internal reproductive organs. Understanding these parts helps us see how the female reproductive system functions as a whole, supporting the process of reproduction. Now let's talk about the fertilization process, which is the very first step in reproduction. Essentially, it all begins when a sperm cell from the father meets an ovum from the mother. When these two cells come together, their nuclei fuse to form a single nucleus. This important event is what we call fertilization. During this process, the genetic material from both the sperm and the egg combines, creating a new cell called a zygote. This fertilized egg will then begin to develop into an embryo. What's fascinating is that, through this fusion, the new individual inherits characteristics from both parents. So, the traits we see, like eye color or height, are a result of this genetic combination. Overall, fertilization is a remarkable event that sets the foundation for new life, linking the entire theme of reproduction and the continuity of species. Now, let's talk about the development of the embryo after fertilization. When the sperm and egg unite, they form a single cell called a zygote. This zygote then begins to divide repeatedly, creating a cluster of cells that forms a ball. As these cells continue to multiply, they start to organize into different groups, which will eventually develop into the various tissues and organs of the body. This whole developing structure is called an embryo. As the embryo grows inside the mother's uterus, it gradually begins to take on more recognizable body parts, things like hands, legs, the head, eyes, and ears. At this stage, where all these parts can be identified clearly, we refer to the developing baby as a fetus. When the fetus has fully developed and is ready for life outside the womb, the mother gives birth to the baby. So, from a single fertilized cell to a fully formed baby, this process highlights the incredible journey of human development. Now, let's take a look at how different animals give birth to their young. Some animals are viviparous, which means they give birth to live young. These animals carry their babies inside their bodies until they are ready to be born. On the other hand, we have oviparous animals, which lay eggs. These eggs develop outside the mother's body, and the young ones hatch from these eggs later on. Understanding these two reproductive strategies helps us see the incredible diversity in the animal kingdom and how different species adapt to their environments. It's a fascinating aspect of biology that connects to the overall theme of how animals reproduce and thrive in various habitats. Let's talk about metamorphosis, which is such a fascinating biological process. Essentially, it's how certain animals undergo a significant physical change after they are born or hatch. This isn't just a minor transformation, it's a pretty dramatic shift in the animal's body structure. What makes it really interesting is that this change happens relatively quickly and involves a lot of cell growth and differentiation. Cells are essentially changing their function and identity to form new tissues and organs suited for the animal's new stage of life. This process highlights the incredible ways animals develop and adapt, and it ties into our broader discussion of biological development and evolution. Metamorphosis is a perfect example of how life can be dynamic and constantly changing. Now, let's look at asexual reproduction, which involves only a single parent. In organisms like Hydra, you might notice bulges on their bodies called buds. These buds are actually developing new individuals, and this process is what we call budding. It's a simple yet effective way for Hydra to reproduce without the need for a partner. Moving on to microscopic organisms like amoeba, we see another fascinating method. Amoeba is a single-celled organism, and it reproduces by dividing itself into two. The process begins with the nucleus splitting into two new nuclei, and then the entire body divides into two parts, each with its own nucleus. As a result, from one amoeba, you get two new amoebae. This method is known as binary fission, and it's a quick way for single-celled organisms to multiply. Both budding and binary fission highlight how diverse and efficient asexual reproduction can be, especially in simple organisms. These methods help ensure that organisms can reproduce rapidly and effectively, contributing to the overall survival and propagation of their species. Let's wrap up with some key points. So, what exactly is a test tube baby? Well, in cases where a woman's fallopian tubes are blocked, it becomes difficult or even impossible for her to conceive naturally. That's where IVF, or in vitro fertilization, comes in. In this process, a freshly released egg and sperm are kept together outside the body for a few hours, allowing fertilization to occur. The resulting zygote is then allowed to develop for about a week before it's carefully placed back into the mother's uterus. If everything goes well, this leads to pregnancy and ultimately, the birth of a baby. This is what we commonly call a test tube baby. Now, moving on to implantation. This is a crucial step in pregnancy. It refers to the process where the embryo attaches itself closely and securely to the wall of the uterus. This attachment is vital because it helps the embryo receive nutrients and support for further development. Connecting these points to our overall theme, understanding these mechanisms helps us appreciate the science behind reproduction and how advanced techniques like IVF can assist couples facing fertility challenges.